Keller Williams Realty, Spring Lake. I am here with Chris Whalen. He is a CPA. The reason I decided to come here today, and I'm interviewing him, and by the way, thank you so much for taking the time, is there is a new rental tax in New Jersey for short-term rentals, and everybody is panicking. So why not come to the source and actually get information about it?
Please don't panic. Please
Yes.
don't panic about this.
Exactly. So Chris, tell us a little about yourself. And by the way, if anybody out there has questions, jump on. We'll answer the questions for you. And then if you don't mind just reading us the questions,
Sure.
that'd be great. Okay.
Well, what's happened since October 1st of 2018, that New Jersey put a sales tax on short-term rentals, and a short-term rental in New Jersey is anything that's 90 days or less. So a lot of people would think of having a home at the shore, they rent by the week,
Right.
but it also, it does impact people who are renting anything on a month-to-month basis, which is very important. But also, one of the most important things to remember is that this is not something to panic about, something we can work through. We have everything in place here to help you, to make sure we're paying the sales tax or getting you in touch with a real estate agent or
Right.
broker, and we'll talk about that in a minute, correct?
Right. Yeah, there are definitely options out there for you. So something that it seems like the news is overly sensationalizing this, which is why people are panicking, and that's really why I wanted to come here. So that way you get a better feel of what's going on. The one thing that I do think a lot of people are overlooking, which we talked about this before, is that month to month. Because a lot of people don't have annual leases. They just do month to month, so that way it gives them more flexibility. But then this is where this tax will come in. And the tax is not for the landlords, the tax is actually for the tenants, so let's keep that in mind.
Right.
So
It's like any other sales tax that you were to pay. You go to a store, you buy something, you
Right,
buy a
exactly.
DVD player, you're going to pay the 6.625%. So it's borne or paid for by the actual tenant and not by you, not
Right.
by the owner. Very
right.
important.
Sort of like hotels. Hotels.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, hold on. Let's back up.
Okay.
Why did I come to you? Out of every other accountant out there.
All right. Well,
Why? So.
Well, I've done
I'm
a lot
gonna
of.
embarrass you.
I've actually done a lot of work with the Division of Taxation with regard to this law, making sure they clarify some of the things we're going to be discussing today. I have a full-service CPA firm up here in Red Bank area. We specialize heavily in rental properties, and flips, and any commercial type of deals. So I'm really on top of all this and have been from the beginning.
Right.
So yeah, I think it seems to be I've become a hub for people to ask these kind of questions, why Carly has found me and she's sitting here right now.
Right. So again, he actually worked with the Division of Taxation. So to me that was really important, and I'm on his email campaigns and
Right.
keep doing them. Some people are on email campaigns and they think that people aren't getting information. I think they're fantastic, and you know what, we'll put in the notes what your website is.
Yeah, that would be great,
because
sure.
this is really detailed, and then whoever's out there, any realtors are out there, feel free to share this, but also share Chris's link, so that way you can see, so you can share it with your landlords and tenants. Really important. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's go.
Okay, so there are actually two taxes that need to be paid when you have a short-term rental in New Jersey. One is the sales tax that we just mentioned, the 6.625%, but there's also an occupancy tax of 5%. So that's something you have to remember. And remember, this will be your tenants are going to pay this, close to 12%, if it's subject to sales tax. So
Right.
people don't realize the total amount that there is an occupancy tax. There are some townships in New Jersey, such as the Wildwoods, Atlantic Cities, Cape May areas, where they do have their own rules, and that this might change the numbers a little bit or even add to them. But for the most part, this is what you're looking at will be an additional cost to your tenants paying this. Remember, it's not you. So if your tenants had a $1,000 rental down in LVI for the week, they're going to be paying close to $1,200 if they have to pay the sales tax.
Right.
Make
but
sense?
then tenants, I don't want you to panic also, or renters or guests or however you want to call yourself during the season, because there are actually ways around these taxes and legal ways around the taxes. So we'll get into that as well.
Okay, so let's talk about Airbnb and VRBO, and what they're called are transient space marketplaces. That's the official term for them.
I
Right?
didn't know that.
That's what they're called. And so if you use them, they will automatically collect the sales tax.
Right.
A misnomer here is people think if I use Airbnb, we don't have to collect the sales tax, but that's where we're going to get to if you use a real estate broker.
Right.
So if you use Airbnb or VRBO, they're supposed to be collecting the sales tax on your behalf and remitting it.
Right.
So you don't have to do anything. If you use Airbnb, you're going to pay the fee that you normally would pay them. Your net would be the same. They're just going to collect the tax from your tenant and pay the tax on your behalf. And that saves you now from having to register with the Division of Taxation and pay the tax yourself.
Right. So now we were going back and forth over this before because I had a question about this. I think that people were kind of misunderstanding the Airbnb concept and the VRBO and the other small websites like that, where they were thinking that if they use this, if the landlords use this, then they're going to be taxed even more, and all of a sudden they're going to be taxed 15% because you have the taxes, and then you have, I believe, and don't quote me, Airbnb charges a 3% fee.
Right.
So the taxes are taxed to the tenant.
Right. Right.
The fee, the 3% fee or whatever it is taxed to the
Right.
landlord.
So let me give a quick example.
Yeah.
So let's say that last year you had a rental property and you used Airbnb and LBI, and it was $1,000 for a week, and so they charge you 3%. Right?
This is
so,
with Airbnb.
Airbnb. So they got $1,000 that they got from the tenant. They sent you $1,000 minus 30, right, in a check form, and that was your
being the landlord.
right. That was your net, the landlord.
Okay.
So now, even with the sales tax, you would still net out the same amount of money. If their fee is still $30 and you charge rent of $1,000, the sales tax has nothing to do with you.
Right.
The sales tax, just as if we're going to Best Buy to buy a DVD player, Best Buy is not paying the sales tax. We
Right.
pay the sales tax. So,
Right.
so that's the important point to remember, that if you were using Airbnb, and the rent is the same, you will net out the same amount of money from Airbnb as you did.
Okay. Yeah. So again, no need to panic.
No. Oh no, absolutely. There's no
Okay.
there's no need to panic, and we just have to follow the rules and make sure that there are some changes here, and it does mean that there's more paperwork to do, but that's not hard to do, even for people who don't that they can collect the sales tax. They can send it in. It's a very simple process that they've made in the state to register to pay the sales tax quarterly.
Okay.
So even if you did have a property and you have to collect the sales tax, we're set up here to help you get registered very easily. It's not expensive, and just to get you on the path to what you need to do, what information you need to collect. It makes it very simple. So no, don't panic at all. Please don't sell your rental properties. Everyone knows me. I don't invest in the markets. I only invest in rental property.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I specialize in all of this.
Okay, that's another claim right there. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. So, why would somebody choose Airbnb or a broker? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is
And
this.
obviously,
Now,
if you choose a broker.
right, Carly Ringer is my broker of record. So what's happened here now, there is a way to avoid the sales tax. That's what we're talking about with this slide, is that if you have a real estate broker involved at the right kind of level, doing the right amount of things for the transaction, then there won't be any sales tax that needs to be collected. So if you were to compare that to Airbnb, yes, the broker would still charge you a fee as Airbnb would, but the property that you have as a rental is not as costly to your tenant.
Right.
So in the same example as before, Airbnb has $1,000 rental for you. The customer's walking away paying $1,160, whereas with the real estate broker, they're just paying the $1,000. But there are some very specific rules, and this is what I tried to work with the Division of Taxation to clarify, because the initial rules that were promulgated and put on the website were too vague, and they left the taxpayers at risk for sometimes a broker not being on the up and up.
Okay.
And we wanted to clarify. So that's what. So using a real estate broker, if you've never collected sales tax before, and you have rental properties, and you can use a real estate broker, then everything else being equal, that's probably a better situation for you, because your property that's next door to a property that's going to have sales tax charged on it will be a better buy.
Right.
That's the idea. It gives the brokers have an advantage now over Airbnb.
And so think about it this way too. If you are using a realtor or broker, you are getting that added customer service that you're not getting with Airbnb. That's really important. And I think everybody says that the brick and mortar stores are dying, but if you look at Nordstrom's,
Right.
Their customer
Right.
service is
Right.
what keeps them going, right? And that's the same thing with using a real estate broker and agent, is that you get the customer service. You have somebody that is vetting your tenants to make sure that they're gonna take care of your place the best as possible, and you're not just picking some random person off of Craigslist.
And also, no one is aware of the market as well as an agent or broker. So
Right.
I mean, I want people try to do people try to do their taxes themselves, and that's always a very bad idea. I say the moment that you go out and do a root canal yourself, then you should do your taxes.
Yeah.
But a broker can help. They understand the market. They
Right.
understand what the fair market
We know
rents
what the
are.
prices
Right. So
should be.
I would highly recommend listing with a real estate broker
Right.
if you can.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of recommendations too, that you use us, and we have kind of like a concierge. Like if you're out of the area and something happens with the plumbing, we could give you recommendations. Or I've checked in on my clients' tenants during the summer, and a lot of us actually, customer service is huge.
Right.
Yeah, so
I want to get to the most important point, though, about using a real estate broker, and this is something that's a point of contention, but it's very significant, and I clarified this probably 50 times with the Division of Taxation, and that's this rule that if you do use a real estate broker, meaning you don't want to have sales tax collected, the keys or the access codes to an electronic door or doorway has to be picked up at the broker's office. Now, I get a lot of calls as if people are arguing with me, like it's my fault for this.
Yeah.
I don't, but that's the rule that it protects New Jersey from saying that is a real estate broker really involved. Because if this rule wasn't in place, it's very easy to skirt the rules and say the real estate broker's involved, but how much are they involved? And then no one pays the sales tax.
Right.
So I wish they changed this. I think
maybe one day.
Right, maybe. But it's important for owners and landlords to not let a broker tell you, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. Remember that the broker has to have a key and access to your codes and have it in a certain place. At least we have that so we know. And in the instructions to your tenants, it says you must go pick up the keys or access codes at this location at the broker.
Right. Okay, so does anybody out there have any questions? Bring them on in. We are filming this live, so if you have questions and you put them in the comment, we can always check back later as well. Okay, so.
And if I could just give a plug for myself. And so
How about it?
I appreciate Carly coming into my office today. I'm Chris Whalen, CPA, and I have a full-service CPA firm specializing in things we already discussed today. If you have any question or concern related to this kind of tax matter, any accounting issue, call me right away. My website is chriswhalencpa.com. You can email me at chriswhalencpa@gmail.com. And even on my website, there's a button right on the main screen to asking me any question you might have.
And again, if this is something that you want to delve into a little deeper, his website has a very long explanation as to what's going on, very detailed, which is why I came here, because I was really impressed with that. So
Thank you, Carly.
very much. See you guys at the beach.